about home. They're married to real estate.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast for people who love real estate and want to become inspired and informed. Whether you are a newbie real estate agent looking to get tips and learn a thing or two, or maybe you are a savvy property owner who wants to get a jump on the market, this is the place for you. We discuss our passion for real estate and people, and we bring together our personal experiences as well as our guests to learn from each other. You'll hear from experts in sales coaching, real estate law, mortgage lending, investing, and many local business owners on how to grow your business or your investment in real estate. I'm Mairi Elliot.
I'm Mary Forster.
And I'm Mary McCauley.
And we are Married to Real Estate.
Hey everyone, we're back with Married to Real Estate. Mary, and Mary. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing great.
Yeah, we were just kind of laughing a little pre-show about, a recap of what happened this week, and we all feel like it's been kind of a blur.
It is springtime.
Yeah. Is that school vacation, nice weather, beach on our mind? What's happening?
A lot of, springtime and fall, such big times to do a lot of activities. And so our Rotary, the Westford Rotary, has a big fundraiser this weekend, dropping 1,500 golf balls.
It's amazing.
From the air on via helicopter.
So cool.
And then you win, depending on how close your ball is to the, quote, hole. That's 1,000. And then if the next one is 200. And then the one furthest away gets 100.
That would be me.
So you almost want the rogue ball just for fun.
You want it. You want it. Exactly.
Just for bragging rights.
Yeah. First time I ever heard about this, and it's going to be fun. And if, it's just going to be fun. It's going to be at a local farm.
Yeah, well, good pick and farm, right?
Good pick and farm. Yes, it is.
Nice. How about you, Mary?
So I realized why it feels like a blur is that I had been prepping for a meeting with a senator this week.
Oh, fancy.
And I met with the senator this week, so I'm a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's really super exciting. We're doing really good things for Groton, and Groton's really going to be sort of on the map. And
right. Destination Groton, right?
Yep, Destination Groton. We have started a Facebook page. We don't have a website yet. All of my beloved committee mates have invited their friends to the Facebook page that I have not fleshed out yet. So I haven't invited you guys yet because I want it to look good when I invite people to it.
Well, it takes time.
You'll get an invite for that. We're adding more stuff to it. We're doing really cool things in Groton. So if you've never been to Groton, our lovely guest Nick, come on out and see what we have, because it's like one of the most beautiful quintessential Groton.
I have been to Groton.
All right, well, don't jump the gun here.
I'm sorry.
All right. This is not a sales pitch for Groton.
Past week.
Sorry.
I had a purchase and sale signed yesterday. My property in Westford, and we had a baseball client appreciation kind of a party last Friday for the home opener for the Red Sox. Mary Elliot, you were there. Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Mary Forster, you were, busy, I guess. I don't know what happened, but
I'm sure I was praying somewhere,
yes,
Mary.
I'm sure you were. It was Good Friday, and we know what a good girl you are. So you were having,
it was Good Friday.
fish
That's right.
and vegetarian.
Codfish.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Anyway,
That was a really fun event. I liked that. That was great.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
And I thought, so we'll build on that for next year.
Do it again.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. So we have a guest today, Nick Nadeau. And Doe, I knew I was going to mess that up. I asked him about 5 times, people, how to pronounce his last name. Nadeau. Okay. So Nick Nadeau is from Clearpath for Veterans New England, and he is in charge of the Service Dog Program. So, Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I am a Marine Corps veteran. I was deployed in Iraq in 2006. I was wounded when I was overseas. Came back home. Did a little bit of time in law enforcement, and then kind of got out. A lot of things kind of happening,
Yeah.
And I kind of went through a period of time of what do I want to do when I grow up?
I think we've all been through that once or twice.
It was kind of hard because I kind of lost my sense of purpose of what I wanted to do, and I struggled a lot, like a lot of veterans, deal with when they come home. And I suffered from TBI, post-traumatic stress, and a lot of other issues from my injuries that I received over there. And I kind of wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I got a dog, and I started working with my dog, and I started noticing the difference. And I started noticing, how powerful it was just to be with my dog, and how the differences that it was making in me personally.
Right.
And I just got excited about it, and finally found that niche of what I wanted to do in working with dogs, and became a trainer. And, probably about 6 years after I started training dogs, I got a call from somebody at Clearpath saying, hey, we got this position open where you could work with dogs, and you can also work with veterans as well. And
Perfect.
I said, I am there.
Yeah.
Sold,
So
absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about Clearpath.
Yeah, so Clearpath is a nonprofit. It's beautiful. If you haven't been to the building, it's 84 Antietam Street at Fort Devens in Air, Massachusetts.
okay.
It's right on the base. You don't need your ID card to get on, but it's the old hospital. So it's got a really cool history.
It's a great space.
It's a beautiful building. Absolutely.
My brother-in-law was born in that hospital.
Yeah. So
Well,
my
they're not
office
doing
was
that
the old
anymore.
jail cells for the POW camp. For the POW prisoners. So a lot of cool history, and we love doing tours. But again, Clearpath is a nonprofit. Everything that we do is free for veterans and their family at no cost. We provide a multitude of services from the service dog program for veterans in need. We have HVRP programs. We have we're working on housing programs. Once a week on Thursdays, we do free lunch for veterans and their families. So we cater lunch, we cook, and provide it for the veterans. And we have veterans from World War II to current wars that attend every Thursday, and it's huge. Tuesday mornings, we do coffee socials where we have veterans come in and kind of hang out. We do Fret for Vets, where we kind of people who are interested in playing guitar and drums and stuff. We kind of once a month we kind of hang out, jam out. It's pretty cool.
Music therapy.
Absolutely, We have ukulele lessons on Wednesdays. We have art therapy. We have yoga and tai chi, and so all these wraparound services. Another one is a traumatic brain injury clinic, PTSD clinic. It's very high end, and what they do is kind of like your GPS when you get stuck in traffic and you take a side road, it recalculates you to your destination, right?
Yeah.
It kind of retrains your brain to be able to do those things past that traumatic brain injury and help you be able to function and do things easier without having to struggle through that injury. Or it can help kind of clear up those passages and make it a lot easier. So there's only, I think, 2 of them, one out in California, and then NASA uses it to train their astronauts in low gravity.
And use technology?
So
Is it some technology?
Yeah, so it's like a computer program. I've worked with it. They have like these clicks, and you got to kind of clap your hands, and it kind of just helps you retrain that brain to get on time and open up those passages. And then there's other little things that they do, virtual reality.
interactive.
It's a really cool program.
Oh, we would love to see that.
So there's a lot of really great. We have Drums Alive.
Cool.
Donna Bulger and does the Drums Alive program. So we have a lot of different things that we offer for the veterans.
A lot.
One of the cool ones that I like is once a month we do popcorn and puppies.
Oh.
So what we do is we take all of our service dogs in training, bring them upstairs. We have popcorn and hot dogs and drinks, and we put a kids movie up, and we let the dogs kind of hang out with the kids, and it's a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
I love that.
I'm on your mailing list, so I do get your events. So what's the website, or how can people get involved or find out about your services? We briefly spoke earlier about that, a lot of people don't know about your programs. A lot of veterans don't know that you're there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Clearpath for Veterans, New England. You can find us right online. All of our services are online. We have an ongoing calendar of events. When you're in the building, we have big boards with flyers and stuff like that of different events. We have a motorcycle ride coming up. We have golf tournaments. We have flag building programs. So we have a lot of different things to kind of cater to a lot of different veterans and their families and their needs. Yeah. But it's just a great way to, one, get veterans out of the house, give them a purpose, give them a place to kind of be together and be able to heal together
That
with
is
all
so
the wraparound
important.
services.
That is
Really
so
is.
important.
What about Vietnam vets? Is there any kind of special focus for them?
Yeah, so we have a lot of Vietnam vets that come. We have, like I said, every Thursday we have lunch, and we have veterans from World War II to current wars.
Yep.
I think a good majority of them are the Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
And it's just a place that they kind of can come and be themselves and be amongst other veterans.
Yep.
One thing about veterans is we have a hard time sometimes talking to people who have not been in the military because they don't understand or they don't realize really what we've been through. But it's very easy for us to just kind of talk to another veteran regardless of what era they were in.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if you serve, you're a special breed and you have something inside of you that not everyone has. And so that's sort of an unspoken kindred soul type of thing is how I imagine it would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've said that before about my father-in-law. He was a Vietnam vet. We lost him a couple of years at 2020. But it was always so hard he would relate to us some things, but never tell us like the full stories all the time. And it was at certain veterans lunches or Memorial Day, celebrations where he'd sit at a table for hours with those guys and may not have known them at all, but be able to relate so well. And it was really nice to be able to see him have that connection that we were there for, but it just doesn't connect. He doesn't want to tell us those stories.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I think that's what makes Clearpath so special in a sense is this, you kind of come in on your own and you kind of, we have all these opportunities and, most of our staff are all veterans. So we've all, we've all experienced it. We've all deployed. So we understand. And, and the great thing is too, is if we don't have that program that you're interested in, we can always create it.
Create it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And as long as we have the people that want to do it,
Yeah.
it's very easy. And we have so many people who are willing to volunteer. A lot of veterans come in to volunteer. Again, giving that sense of purpose, giving that sense of, brotherhood and sisterhood and the camaraderie.
Right.
And so it's just a very unique, beautiful building.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Just sounds like a beautiful place. That was a question. I'm sorry, Mary.
No, go ahead.
Question I had in, are your volunteers strictly veterans or do you accept?
No, we have
civilians?
veterans, we have civilians.
Okay.
Anything that you guys, anybody's interested in, we definitely have a need.
Okay.
We're a small staff that kind of wear multiple hats.
Yeah.
So yes, I train dogs, but now I'm on with you guys. So we all kind of
Voluntold, I understand.
so we all kind of wear so we all kind of wear multiple hats.
Yeah.
But without the volunteers' helps, we couldn't function as smoothly as we have been.
Good.
And as we grow and as we get more veterans and more people involved, the more that we want to get everybody involved because it's community based, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, getting the veterans in one location with their families, but also getting the community involved and understanding more of,
Yes.
Right. I think that's a big job and a really important one. Where does most of the funding come from for Clearpath?
Yeah, so we work a lot off of donations, grants.
Okay.
Primarily a lot of donations, but we do a lot with what we have.
Yeah.
We really do. And we always have people that are excited to work and help us out. And they see what we've accomplished in the period of time that we've been around. And we have a lot of people that are very interested in helping out. And they can see the difference right away as soon as they walk in of how and why we're helping.
Well, I'm definitely inspired. I want to go volunteer today.
So it sounds like mental health is a core issue for what you're doing in all aspects, whether socializing, but with the dogs for sure.
Yeah, so, the dog program is one of kind of a unique program. And again, I fell in love with working with the dogs because that's kind of how it pulled me out of what I was going through and helped me, so we look at service dogs and we look at how does it help the veteran, but it helps so much more than just the veteran, right? It helps the veteran and their families, right? Because now they can spend more time with their families. It helps out at work. So you have those veterans that have a hard time at work keeping a job or being able to function when they're dealing with their PTSD and other issues. And with that dog underneath the desk or by their side, they can do more productive work and last longer,
Right.
and be able to be alerted before we have our struggles, our deeper struggles,
Absolutely.
right? So it helps at work. It helps out in the community, because now we're able to do a little bit
Yeah.
more with that companion of our dog, and that dog kind of helping us along the path.
Yeah.
But also, it's a great way to get the word out as well.
Mm.
Right.
Right? As another veteran, I see a veteran with the service dog. Oh yeah, hey, and we start talking, and how does that help you? And maybe that's something that I need,
Right.
that I didn't know about, that
Yeah.
was even an option.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
So the dogs are free to the veterans?
yeah,
Walk
yeah.
us
So
through that.
it takes us. We have, I want to say 12 dogs right now, and again, I'm on the air now, so
Sure.
my brain's
We're
going
not going
blank.
to hold you to it.
Right?
It's
Don't
okay.
worry, we're among friends. And this is recorded, so we
Yeah.
have all kinds of options. Yeah.
Beautiful. So yeah, we have about 12 dogs in the program right now. They're mostly all puppies. It takes us about 1.5 to 2 years to train one service dog.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
It takes about $25,000 to $35,000 to train one dog.
Wow.
That
Is
would-
there a
oh,
specific
wow.
breed or?
Yeah, so we don't look at necessarily at the breed. We look at the personalities,
Okay.
because it depends on what that veteran needs. If
Yeah.
you need help with mobility, I'm not going to give you a tiny little dog,
Sure, right.
I'm going to need a little bit bigger of a dog to kind of help support and
Yeah.
with the mobility and aspects of that. But also, I don't want to give you a big, huge Great Dane if you need help in
And you live in a small
place,
Yeah.
and you don't need that.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Kicked out
help.
of your bed because
Right.
of the
Right.
dog.
Move over.
It takes about 1.5 to 2 years to train the one dog. About $35,000, on the higher
Wow.
side to train one dog. And the crazy part is, like, statistically across the board, only 40% of all service dogs actually pass.
Yes, I heard that.
Wow.
So, there's
So
a
some of that is
chance
wasted
that
money.
may not.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
no.
No,
Well,
well,
you
you
may
did.
say that it's wasted money,
Oh,
but
no.
what we do at Clearpath is the dogs that don't pass, we use them as emotional support dogs for veterans.
Oh,
So we
great.
still pair them up
And
with
how
a veteran.
smart
Okay.
are they? And they're really smart,
right,
and they're really
and-
trained to a degree, just maybe not to the end, to the
Right,
finish line.
right, absolutely. And one of the cool ideas that we created at Clearpath for these dogs is we name all of our dogs after fallen veterans.
This gives me the chills.
We want to honor those veterans who have given the ultimate sacrifice for us, and we want to keep that memory and honor alive.
Yeah.
And with the stories behind these dogs can kind of help create that motivation and that strive and the mindset of, yes, they're not here, but that memory still goes, and we can keep moving as well.
Right.
Terrific.
Right. And I'm sure it does a lot for the veteran owning that dog to sort of put a personality into that, make it feel sort of connected to the dog, right?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah. They want to just do right by that dog.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course. So where do the dogs come from?
Yeah, so we work with breeders. We have to guarantee health when we pass the service dog. So I know a lot of people ask, well, why don't you adopt? Sometimes it's a little bit harder. We do have some dogs that we have adopted through adoption agencies, but most of our dogs come from breeders. We look for very specific temperaments of the dogs, and then we start training right away, and we get them going. One thing that we really rely on, and I want to say thank you to all of our fosters, is our foster parents. Without the fosters, we couldn't have these dogs. The more fosters that we get, the more dogs we could take on.
know.
And again, if we want to pass 12 dogs, we really need 24 dogs on the program,
Yeah.
right? So the more fosters we get involved, the more dogs we can kind of take on and help those veterans. And it's just a great thing because we get people from, we have veterans, we have just people in the local community that want to help out, and they're fostering our dogs for us and
Yes.
working with us every day. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time, and they're falling in love with these dogs,
Right.
but they're
Right.
doing it under the understanding of all the help that they're going to be able to do
Right.
once
Right.
those dogs pass.
Yeah.
So they're serving in a way.
They
as
are
well.
absolutely serving as well.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So, again, thank you to all of our fosters.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge work. So, you as a trainer, are you bringing your dog home, the one that you're training, or they go to the foster family for the
Yeah,
evening?
so the foster dogs go home at night, and
Mm-hmm.
then the foster families keep them Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Okay.
and just take them with them. And they keep working with the training, and then as they get more and more proficient with the training, then they start going out doing more public access. They work with the dogs, at the baseball games, the kids' baseball games, or any different events, that they have going on.
Yeah.
So these dogs are now getting used to being out in public and all
Yep.
having all these different distractions and whatnot, and it's a great opportunity. I wouldn't be able to do all of that in a single
Sure.
day's worth of work,
Right.
But the opportunities that these foster families are able to bring these dogs in all different places. We have a foster right now that's still in the military, takes the dog on drill weekends sometimes,
Oh,
and
nice.
works as a firefighter and brings them to brings the dog to the station, and all those added distractions that I would never be able to provide
Right.
myself. But
Right.
it's a great opportunity
Very
to be able
beneficial.
to
Yeah,
to
to their
have
training.
so absolutely, so.
Nothing quite like the chaos of a family to put a dog in line.
So we have a neighbor, and she was fostering this chocolate lab. She had just lost her own. She fostered this chocolate lab, and then she had to give it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
then
sounds
it
rough.
failed the test. It was too nice.
Oh,
So
she
it came
get
back
back?
to her.
she was
Okay,
happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's so happy. And the dog walks by my house every day and is so well behaved. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely.
beautiful.
And again, some dogs may not pass, but we'll take those dogs and we'll find veterans who need those emotional
They were so
support
happy
dogs.
to get her
and
back.
yeah.
Because they had to give her up.
Yeah.
It's like any foster situation. They had to give her up. So.
I love that though, that you try and still connect them with veterans, and rather than,
course.
fosters are great if that's the option for the dog to go back to, but to be able to find a veteran that still wants a dog, but maybe doesn't need the specific skill set
Companion.
that was
Right.
looking
trained all the
being
way
trained
to the
for.
Right.
end,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. I love that
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
that. Do you have a sort of system in place, or is it all through Clearpath where you're just like, we have this extra dog?
Yeah, so we have people that call. We have veterans that call, and some of the intake that I do is what are your needs? What are you looking for? And after discussing the differences between what an emotional support dog is versus a service dog,
Right.
and what their abilities are able to do, because service dogs are allowed to go anywhere that humans can go,
Yep.
but emotional support dogs are not,
Yep.
right?
Right.
Yep.
And so with that, what are we looking for? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? And then we can kind of determine, okay, yep, emotional support dog is probably the better for you versus the service dog, or vice versa. And one thing, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned it, but, the big thing that I wanted to do with the service dog program is get veterans involved, right? So, when I came home, I kind of lost my purpose, kind of lost what I wanted to do, right? And then sometimes we can't heal as veterans until we have that purpose again, right? So with the dog program, I want to get the veterans out of the house,
Right.
Yep.
get them to Clearpath, right? Once they're there at Clearpath, they start working with the dogs, getting a purpose, right? But they're working with other veterans that have gone through similar ordeals. And again, veterans will talk to each other. Becomes its own self-peer group.
Does, yeah.
Right? And we hold each other accountable. We work together, and we share our stories, and what helped me, it could possibly help you, and vice versa. And you start seeing the confidence build in the veterans, but also in the dogs as well.
Yeah.
And then we start doing public access and working as a team out in public, where we may struggle sometimes, right? And we start doing more and more and more under we're working the dogs,
Yeah.
right? I'm doing this for the dogs. I'm doing this for a potential dog myself, but we're building up to that, right? Until we're ready to place that dog with the veteran. But in the meanwhile, because it does take a long time, we have all those other wraparound services that we provide.
Right.
So you may not be ready to go talk to somebody. We have Forge VFR in the building as well. They're a separate identity from Clearpath, but they help us. They're in our building. They work with one-on-one counseling, group counseling, family counseling, right? So they might not be ready for that step yet.
Yep.
But just getting into the building because they want to see the dogs,
Right.
and working, and then they may say, oh, what about Forge? What
Yep.
about the TBI clinic? What
Yep.
about yoga or Tai Chi,
Yeah.
right? What
Yep.
about, and start gaining, start doing more
Yep.
in that process. So it's just a great way to get people
fantastic.
involved.
Well, I
It's-
love the terminology wraparound services
Yeah.
because it feels like a warm hug to me.
does.
That's what I envision
Yeah.
when you said every time you were saying that, and I think that seems like that's definitely what you guys are trying to do for veterans, to kind of have it all encompassing, all under one roof, anything they could think of, dream of, or need.
Right. And again,
beautiful.
in a conversation like this, it's so hard to describe everything
Sure,
that we do.
of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you come to the building and you realize we have a gym that's open to the veterans. They can use any time that we're open. We have a barber shop going in. We have a lot. There's so many things. We have bikes, so we can go bike riding around the paths at Clearpath.
Yeah.
The golf tournaments that we put on, the fishing trips. So there's so much more that
That's very
is
cool.
outside of the building as
Yeah.
well that we
Right.
offer. We have different events coming up, and one of the big ones that we do is our, and where I think we met before, was our dog festival, which is October 29th this
all
year.
right. Oh, because I had done
And-
one in June.
Yeah. So last year we kind of got pushed back due to weather. A hurricane supposedly coming in that
fun.
never happened.
Yeah.
But we got pushed to October right before
Okay.
Halloween, and it was kind of cool because the weather was decent.
Yeah.
And we got the dogs dressed up. You got people dressed up,
Sure.
and kind of created its own little thing. So October 29th is when we're doing our dog
Terrific.
festival this year. But we'll have all the all the
Yeah, so
live bands
that's-
and stuff.
Yeah, that was how I was introduced to Clearpath. There was the dog festival, and this was probably 2018 or 2019, and it was in June. And I had a booth for Keller Williams, and we, did a raffle for a dog house. So it was a dog event.
Yes.
But it was so much fun. There was so much going on, and it was such, and then we took time to go around to the different booths, and that's how I, was like, oh, all right, Clearpath, I like this.
It's a very
for
cool
veterans,
place.
yeah.
Nick, I can't help but visualize you watching your class of dogs and people that they're going with or working with as they're progressing, and the pride that probably fills in you. And I'm sure you're, a very tough guy, and, emotions are hard, but I would be blubbering towards the end of those,
But you've heard Hallmark commercials, Mary. Come on.
Yeah, I do. I cry. I do.
I only say that because I feel that too.
So true. But I'm just envisioning you watch the process unfold and being proud of, dog
All
one,
of it.
because dog one had a really tough time in the beginning, but now he just finished that task, and good for that dog, and same with its person. And, it's beautiful to me. I would be crying all day.
Right. It's just so amazing, the stories that we have of just the progression, and watching the growth
Yeah.
between the veteran and not only the veteran, but the dog, but the
Right.
growth and seeing how working with the dogs helped me so much to kind of see that continue.
That's what I mean.
I
is
love
you
the
know the
foundation of your personal
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, and that's really what drew me to this, because I had my own thing training dogs,
Yeah.
and I was doing very well, but I was always working with veterans on the side, and it would become a lot, and to be able to do two of my passions that I really enjoy
one.
doing in one location is,
Hello,
is just
dream job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's very. That purpose, that sense of pride, it comes
Satisfying.
is very satisfying to be able to come and say, hey, listen, I may not be able to help everybody, but look at the people that we have helped,
Yeah.
Yep.
and those people's growth,
Yep.
and them telling other veterans and other people
Yeah, and
about
the
what we
ripple
do
effect, right?
is huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So before we wrap up with our quote that I asked you to bring, what's the one thing that you wish people knew about Clearpath or the dog training program or both or veterans?
Yeah. So the big thing is you're not alone. Sometimes we feel like we're alone as veterans. I think that's one of the parts that I had a hard time when we were in the military. It's, suck it up, move on. And we have a job and we just keep moving. But then all of a sudden things kind of stop and come to a halt. And we're like, now what?
Yeah.
And then we kind of sit and we start dwelling, we start thinking, we start getting in our heads. And that's kind of the path that I took. And it was very hard to kind of come back from that a little bit, and it was the fight to come back. But, the one thing that I found with Clearpath just walking in is if I had something like that when I first got back home from overseas, I think things would have been a lot different. And that healing process would have been able to start a lot sooner.
Right.
And, it's hard because as veterans, we don't necessarily know of all the services and all the programs and stuff like that are out there. There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm sure asking for help isn't the easiest thing.
It's not number one on the list.
Most people anyway,
absolutely
whether
not.
you're a veteran or not.
Right, absolutely not. We kind of tend to internalize things and just deal with it as on our own. And sometimes we don't deal with it in the best ways. Right. And, the great thing about Clearpath is we're never going to force you to do something. We're never going to tell you have to do X, Y, Z, right?
Right.
You have to be able to want it and do it a little bit yourself. We're there to help guide you, clear path, right? We're there to help you guide you. If we don't know, we'll find the resources. We'll help you, right? But it's just a great way where you can kind of come in, feel like you're back in the military in a sense with that pride, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the camaraderie, and start kind of thinking to ourselves, okay, well, these people were able to move forward and on, and how do I get there? And start creating your own path to be able to get to where you want to go. And we'll help help guide you as best as we can. But the big thing is you have to want it.
Right.
Just as
You
we can't want it more than
you're leading the horse to water, right?
Absolutely. But and just having that place, and again, if you see the building, and you just walk in, you can kind of feel that right off the bat.
You can, absolutely.
Field trip, ladies.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've
been.
Yeah, but I would go again anytime. It was fantastic.
I will go
And I'm thinking of a
anytime.
veteran that I would like to maybe take over and
Oh,
visit.
let's do that. I would love that.
Absolutely.
So the quote that do you know it by heart? Or?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived. And that's by Patton. Why that quote?
So again, kind of get in our heads and we think, what if, what if things were different? What if things were changing? We kind of put a guilt on ourselves sometimes, right?
Yep.
And in understanding that, we've all taken on that same risk. And if the roles were reversed, what would we want that other person to do?
That's right.
If we would want them to move on and live, through me, for themselves, right? And so it's remembering, and I think that's one of the things that we do with the service dogs is remembering those veterans and utilizing those names to keep that memory alive. Because yes, they're not here anymore, but their purpose and their reasoning to be able to help others and to be able to is still there. And their that dream and the reasons why we joined the military to help others and to be a part of everything that we do. Continues on even if they're not there. So the memory is always going to be there, and we should be living in a sense that if the roles were reversed, they would want us to move forward.
Yeah,
I love that, Nick.
Totally agree.
I think we should end on that. I can't even
beautiful.
imagine interpreting that any better. So thank you very much, Nick Nadeau. Got it right this time.
Good job, Mairi.
Clearpath Veterans New England, and reach out to us or Clearpath if you want any more information.
And I'd just like to say thank you so very much for coming. You've mostly been smiling since you
and thank you for your
since you were here.
service.
And
Thank you.
So PR needs to be part of your job description too.
Sounds
You're
good.
very
You're
good
very
at it.
inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your big heart. We often don't say to our military people, thank you for your big heart, but thank you for your big heart,
So
because you can
true.
tell you care, and you care from a position of being in a tough place, and yet you served, and we are really, really grateful for
Yes.
you, and
Thank
you're
you.
continuing to serve.
I've been holding
Thank you.
myself back from hugging him this
I
whole
do.
time.
We'll do it afterwards. Okay. You might get a hug.
Be warned,
three.
forewarned. All right. Nick, Nadeau, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, super.
Mary, Mary, and Mary, so extraordinary. Well, now they're talking about houses, they're talking about